I love this woman who's riding the subway. Just these men are not good enough for me. I'm gonna ride the subway. Like these jokes just write themselves. I don't even have to do anything.
What they really got us with as single women, the idea of being picky. And I did not realize just how deep this ran until I got divorced. And suddenly, everything I talked about when it came to dating and the guys I was meeting and the guys I was going on dates with, it was like, you're too picky. And the worst thing about it is 90% of the time you're hearing that, it's from other women.
Well, I just want to point this out because we're going to have this conversation several times. I'm not saying you're too picky or not too picky. That's on you. For instance, if I'm just saying, if I don't have $10 million in my bank account and I'm saying I won't live in a house that isn't at least $10 million, I can say I'm not too picky. Like I can use those words if I want to. But if someone were to look at it objectively, they might say, hey, you're actually being a little bit too picky. So the problem is she's not even considering that all of her friends, many of which are female, who are telling her are too picky, they might actually be correct.
Guys, the entire idea of picky is so patriarchal.
Patriarchal. Remember, it's women who are telling her that she's too picky, but it's patriarchal.
Like there's never been a more obvious patriarchal concept in my life.
I mean, I can think of a few other ones. How about, you couldn't assault your wife. It wasn't counted as assault for about, 400 years. I think that was a little bit more patriarchal. I think the idea of you being too picky is being patriarchal. That doesn't make any sense. That wasn't even an issue until the 1970s. This is a situation where there's no self-reflection here. There's no saying, hey, maybe some other people have an opinion that's different from mine. And maybe I could look into myself and say, could I be too picky? In this case, obviously, spoiler alert, you guys can probably tell she is obviously way too picky. And not only that, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but right, you're dating a woman, you're a guy who goes on a date with this particular woman. You're dating a woman who not only is letting you know that she's too picky, that she's not too picky. She just has super high standards. But not only does she have super high standards, she needs to make a TikTok to make sure that you know that she has high standards. Like that's how crazy this has gotten. It's not just the problem that she has high standards. She needs to let everyone know on social media that she has high standards additionally.
When it comes to dating and relationships as women. Because if you're too picky, then you're the problem, not her dusty ass son.
Again, if there's a guy that's a problem, then that's okay. Then you can just move on from him and you're being picky. But the problem is if you get to 35, 40, 45, and if you have people outside your relationship saying, hey man, he actually seemed like a great guy. I understand you thought he was too picky because he had a dog and you wanted a cat. Like you might want to sit there and give these people more of a chance or at least get to know these men on like an actual level. But here's the part. She says something right here that just really sets me off.
Not minimum effort, not guys who treat you like shit and then half-ass apologize.
Again, she said that she's too picky. For those of you guys who are out there in the real world, the guys who treat women like shit, women are not too picky for them. Those are the men that women are picking. Let me say that again. This woman is complaining about men who treat women like shit. Okay? And I'm saying this as a guy who I don't treat women like shit. I'm saying this as a guy who's been picked over by women when they chose instead of me, men who treat them like shit. She's saying that she's too picky, but the problem couldn't be that men treat her like, wait a second, that's not what I'm saying. Put a 1 in the chat if that's also what you're saying, that it's actually the men treating women like who are getting picked. That's the problem here. This is what I mean by a lack of self-reflection.
Guys, and then it's like, well, I'm always so picky. Everyone's always telling me I'm too picky. Like I should probably give him a second chance. I actually think one of my best qualities in dating is how picky.
Actually, I think the problem is you need to give them a first chance. I will bet you 90% of men, she doesn't even physically see them.
Yeah, I am. I got divorced 6 years ago. I've had one relationship since then. I've dated, of course, but I was not willing to enter
Okay, let me say this one more time. You have a right to have whatever standards you want. I'm not sitting here telling you that you don't. But the problem is, and this is not just me saying this, there's data that backs this up. It's that a woman will get into a relationship, get married, end the marriage, possibly maybe even have a kid at the end, a lot of emotional baggage. And then when she gets out of that relationship, her standards are higher. Let me say that one more time. She's not, 23 and young with no baggage. She's been married and then divorced, and then 6 years has passed by and her standards have increased. I don't understand. See, here's the problem. If I use this analogy, it will totally make sense to you guys. But if I use the same analogy with women, it comes off as offensive, okay? I am an NFL running back. Can I ask for more money when I'm 35 or when I'm 25 if I'm an NFL running back? And let me add, that's the first question. And the second thing is, if you guys have seen NFL running backs that are in their 30s, do teams commit to them for multi-year deals, or do teams only give them 1-year deals? When running backs are a tough example because they have the shortest careers in the NFL, probably of any sport. When NFL running backs, when they're younger, they get that 4-year contract. When they're in their 30s, like Frank Gore, when he was near the end of his career, it was just one-year deal after another. Because they were older, they couldn't ask for more money and longer contracts and more commitment. Because they were older, they got less commitment and got less money. Now, for some reason, if we use NFL contracts for NFL running backs, that's not a problem. You guys remember Chris Paul, he was a point guard, played for a million different teams. In the beginning of his career, he was getting massive deals because he was younger and teams wanted to commit to him. Now, when he was older, you guys remember it was a 1-year deal with San Antonio, a 1-year deal with Oklahoma City. It was a 1-year deal with the Clippers. It was 1-year deal. Why is that? Because teams did not want to commit to him because he was older. When he was older, he couldn't ask for more. Meaning, when Chris Paul was near the end of his career, he couldn't ask for higher standards. So use one more example. Let's use Aaron Rodgers, plays for the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, at the beginning of his career, one of the highest paid players in the league. He won multiple MVPs, won Super Bowl like back in 2010. At the beginning of his career, they were signing him to the highest paid contracts that you could sign a quarterback to. Near the end of his career, he's getting 1-year deals with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're committing to him less and paying him less. He's getting less than like half of what the top quarterbacks are getting. And he's getting 1-year deals after another, and he's in his 40s. So in his 40s, he's actually getting less commitment and less money. Now, let's review back to this situation. This woman has been divorced. And again, she can have whatever standards she wants, but is it realistic that her standards should be higher?
Actual relationship with any of the men that I met for 6 years. I said no to a date last week because the guy was wearing a backpack, and I will.
Again, the guy was wearing a backpack. So she's saying she's not too picky, but didn't give a guy a chance because he's wearing a backpack. Do you know, I've worn a backpack before. I was volunteering a food pantry, and on the way up there, I wore a backpack and put supplies in the backpack in order to help people to the food pantry. But according to her, I would not be good enough, and she's too picky to date someone like me because I would be wearing a backpack.
I'll not be explaining myself. I just know that the guy.
Guys, did you guys hear that? This is my favorite thing. I wish I could rewind, but we can't do that on here. She said she will not be explaining herself. She just said, I will not be explaining myself. What is this whole podcast? Why are you on here for if you're not explaining yourself? I don't understand. You're on here explaining yourself.
I'm going to end up with isn't wearing a backpack. It's nothing against backpacks. It's just what I know works for me. It's what I intuitively know.
There's nothing against backpacks. I just won't date a guy who's wearing a backpack, even though he may just have a legitimate job and you don't know anything about him, but you're not too picky.
No,
but us saying that you're too picky is patriarchal. Got it.
The guy was great. He was actually really handsome, but something.
Bro, he was handsome. He was great, but he had a backpack on. I couldn't go out with him, but people are saying I'm picky, but I'm not too picky. And women calling women picky is patriarchal. Can you guys help me untie my brain right now? Just trying to understand like the level of like, what is this? Help me. Someone help me, please. Help me.
Think about the backpack. I just was like, you're not my man. It's no hate to you, but why would I waste my and your and everyone's time here? Sorry if it's loud. I'm getting into the subway, but this is just your monthly reminder that you're not too picky. And also whatever level of picky you are.
Actually, ma'am, this is your weekly reminder that you are too picky. Sorry. Again, you can have whatever standards you want. It's just, I don't understand how after you get divorced, your standards go up. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Or that's the perfect amount of picky. People trying to convince you that you're too picky are just feeding their own internalized patriarchy. And when it's another woman telling you you're too picky, first and foremost,
remember, if it's a man, it's patriarchy. But if it's a woman, it's internalized patriarchy.
Let's take a very close and hard look at her relationship if she's in one. I'll bet you $1 million there's no world where you would trade your single life for her relationship. And that's because she wasn't picky. So I wish.
Yeah, maybe she might be happy. That's the problem. It doesn't matter that you're happy. It just matters that the guy doesn't wear a backpack.
For you and for women everywhere is to take however picky you are and double it, triple it.
How does this video have 78 comments but 2,000 likes? I'm a little confused. It only got 59 shares. This is a little bit fishy.
You're not picky enough. If I was your girlfriend, I would be telling you you're not nearly picky enough. Don't say yes to the guy who took 3 weeks after meeting you to ask you out. Don't give your number to the guy who's like socks are weird to you. I'm not.
Okay. My brain hurts right now. If there's any ladies watching, do you see this and understand why men could be frustrated? How would you feel if you were, say, a construction worker? And as a construction worker, you were told at the beginning, I want a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom brick house. And about halfway through, while they said they want a brick house, they said they want a wood house at the same time that they want a brick house. How would you feel as a construction worker? Then the next week they told you that they want a house made out of stone? Ladies, can you take a second and listen to this and just maybe try to internalize and use a little bit of like, cross-sex mind reading and just a little bit of intuition, because apparently women have better intuition than men, and possibly understand how this would be damaging and maybe confusing for men to listen to. She literally just said that she doesn't want to talk to a guy who took 3 weeks to ask her out, but also doesn't want a guy who stalks her. So it's the Goldilocks zone. So the guy who gives her too much attention, she's too picky for him. The guy who doesn't give her enough attention, she's too picky for him. And the guy with the backpack, she's also too picky for him. Help me make it make sense.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him. I'm not saying his socks are weird. It's like they're weird to you. So just say no. Okay, now I'm on the subway. I'm going to give this a rest. But yeah, triple it, quadruple it. The worst thing that's going to happen is
I love this woman who's riding the subway. Just, these men are not good enough for me. I'm going to ride the subway. Like these jokes just write themselves. I don't even have to do anything.
You're actually going to get what you want because you didn't waste your time on all these things that you did not want.
Incredible. Just absolutely phenomenal. Just, I cannot express enough how great this is.